All right, I'm here with Vergil Ortiz Jr. and Vergil Ortiz Sr. This is Jeff Zimmerman with FightNews.com. How you guys doing?
Good, pretty good, Jeff. How you doing, Jeff?
Good, good. So as I was telling you before we got started, usually when I come out this way, I'm covering a big fight either at Cowboy Stadium or even your fight in Grand Prairie last year. Tell me about what's going on with you guys with this whole COVID and just how it's kind of impacted just your boxing schedule.
I mean, it's COVID's, it's just a little obstacle that we don't have any problem beating around. We're still, we're getting fights. Hopefully, I fight once or two times again this year. It's most likely going to be one. But I mean, other than that, it's everything is. I feel like everything is normal. I can still work hard at any time. I run every day, strength conditioning. When we go back to California, it's going to be the way it was.
What about you, Curtis?
Everything is still the same. The only difference is it's just that only certain things are closed now, like certain stores and some, have to wear masks. But other than that, I mean, we treat it the same as in if he doesn't have a fight or has a fight, he still trains, he still runs, he still stays in shape. I mean, you have to stay ready because you never know. Someone can call him and there can be an opportunity for a belt. And you say you only have a month notice. Well, he don't have to get worried about getting in shape when he's already in shape. Now it's just a sparring part. But so it's pretty much just the same thing.
Let me go back a second, actually, why we're here. So this is the second mural for Vergil in as many weeks. This is a huge honor. This is your hometown of Grand Prairie. What does it mean to both of you as the dad and then you as an up-and-coming world champion?
Well, I mean, it definitely does mean a lot, and I hope that it inspires many of these kids to if they know about me, they realize that I was born here as well. It's possible to make it out of here, and not necessarily just make it out of here. Not that here is a bad place, because I'm gonna live here for the rest of my life, but they can do things with their lives. They're not tied down.
What about you, Vergil? As far as your son getting a huge honor, in a fight town like here?
It's a good feeling. It's a wonderful feeling. It's a good thing for us, and it's a good thing for the community. It's a good thing for us because it shows working hard and really thriving for what you want can give you. But it's also a good thing because this lays a footprint, a trail for everybody else that look where he's at. I can be there. I want to get there. It's kind of like it's a lot easier to go somewhere when someone's already been there and you can just follow the road than go trying to make a path on your own and not know if you're doing it right or not. At least you're on the right.
So Vergil, you're I think 4 years into your pro career. Did you get your pro debut on the Canelo Alvarez fight?
No, that was my second fight. Everyone thinks this is that was my pro debut. No, I made my pro debut July 30th, 2016 at the Fantasy Spence.
Okay, in California.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was at your second pro fight.
Yeah.
And covered that at Cowboy Stadium. What was that experience like? Being on the biggest draw in boxing in your hometown in Arlington.
I mean, that was only my second time being in that stadium, so it was kind of. Honestly, I couldn't even see. I had bad eyesight, so I couldn't wear my contacts or my glasses or anything. So it didn't really scare me, but I definitely felt like the atmosphere. It was a different type of venue, and it felt way different when Canelo was there, and it was actually full. But man, I could hear a lot of my friends and family cheering in the stands, and that's how I like it, to be honest. And it was a cool experience.
Last year, you came back to your hometown and fought here again against Orozco in an electrifying fight in Grand Prairie and got the win there. Now, since then, you fought, I think, Brad Solomon, Samuel Vargas. Obviously, you're stepping up your fights. What's next for you? Have you heard anything from Golden Boy, especially with everything going on?
We haven't heard anything necessarily anything specific yet. We definitely 1 or 2 fights again this year, most likely one. We're just staying ready for whatever comes our way. It's not a for sure thing, especially with everything going on today. But we're always going to stay ready for whatever they tell us. Whenever they call us, they need us to go back, then we'll go back.
So in the last fight, and we were talking about this earlier with Robert, Garcia, your head trainer, getting COVID and obviously out for tonight's fight as well. Vergil, you stepped in to be the lead trainer, I believe, and you've been training your son his whole life. But what was that experience like at the pro level to kind of take over in the corner?
Honestly, it wasn't nothing different that I haven't experienced. I corner my son every day in the gym. And every day he spars, I corner him. In the amateurs, I cornered him. So it's nothing new. I know there were a few people that didn't know that I train my son and that I do this and that with him, that were kind of maybe worried or nervous or, you know, but it was actually probably maybe a lot easier. Me and my son have a certain connection that no other coach can have with him. I can say the same thing 100 different ways, but with a different tone of voice, and it'll all mean different, and he'll know exactly what I mean.
You don't even have to say anything sometimes.
Sometimes I don't have to say nothing. I can just look at him a certain way, and he knows what I'm talking about.
So did you feel a difference, Vergil, or was it like business as usual for you as well?
I mean, it was definitely different with my dad in the corner. You know, it's how do you say, like, I mean, I don't know how to say it, but it was a direct from him to me, you know, and no mistranslation. If he tells me something, I know exactly what's supposed to be going on, and I like it like that. It's cool.
And maybe years from now, you look back, you know, on the experience, and you know, it hits you a little differently. But I thought that was pretty cool, you know, just. You know, as a pro, it's a different game.
Yeah, I'm just like when I corner my son, I'm not real a lot kind of like how do you say like micromanage, kind of like, hey, you should jab this, or hey, do this and that, as too vocal during the fight. A lot of what I like to do more is me and my son understand each other. I know exactly what he's looking for, how he's looking for it, when he's looking for it. My job is just pretty much to identify what's probably coming, and then let him choose the way he wants to go into it, and then help me help him adjust how to do it. And as he's doing that, it's real easy. Sometimes he can be doing something I wouldn't recommend, only because it's just not what I would do. But sometimes as a smart coach, well, I wouldn't even say a smart coach, an experienced coach with his guy or his son, in my case my son, knows his level and his talent, and therefore not worry about it too much and know what he's doing. Sometimes you have to let them figure that out a little bit. If you always tell them, hey, know this or hey, know that, then when they're doing something wrong and you don't realize it, he's gonna keep doing whatever he's doing. So sometimes you have to let them evolve just a little bit and let him figure out just a little bit of, okay, I'm gonna go this way instead, or I'm gonna go this way instead. And either way is fine. You just kind of gotta let them develop that part of their own.
What did Robert say anything after the fight? What was his thoughts on the performance and how everything went down?
He was actually excited. He called me and he told me that everybody was calling him and saying that Vergil was looking strong and you know that there ain't nobody gonna stop him. You know, just stuff like that.
Right.
And he was very excited. Again, Robert never questions because you know, Robert and I actually, Robert's gym and our style is pretty much identical almost. The only thing is that we probably go to the body a lot more than what they do, but it meshes very well. It complements each other, the style, and that's why we don't have a problem. Once we went to his gym, you know, adjusting to anything, there really was nothing to adjust. It was very, very fluent.
Is that what made it easier to choose him as a trainer, having kind of a similar style for Vergil?
That and the fact that some coaches think that trading 2 for 2, as long as you get your 2s in, is fine. I personally don't think that. I think that having your brain later when you're older is the best thing to do, and he understands that, and that's what he wants to. And so I like Robert's style more as in safety and outsmarting the guy, and that's why for me I picked Robert because to help me, because I think he's looking out for his guys' safety, and that's that's actually the main thing you should be looking out, is for their safety first, and then everything else should fall in place.
You know, you mentioned the body, and if there was any critique that I heard from the fight, is that maybe you should have gone to the body more to take out Vargas. Do you guys feel that way, or do you feel like the fight pretty much went as you thought?
Well, what people don't see, if I wanted Vergil to take him out fast, he should have gone to the body. I'll just kind of be straight out about it. The guy was talking a lot of shit. throughout most of the, not the fight, but I mean like even during the fight, but before.
Right.
He was just saying things that he was gonna enjoy hurting my son and a bunch of stuff. So my son took it personally, and he told me he wanted to put a beating on him. And I told him if you want to give him a beating, then you don't go to the body because he's not gonna last very long there. I said if you want to do that, you want to punish him. We all know that my son's strong. I know he has he's probably the strongest 147 out there, regardless if people want to admit it or not. And so I told him, all right, well, if you want to do that, drop your power volume and put up your punch some more. Throw more punches, but drop the power. And you're going to throw more in volume, but you're going to throw with less power, which his power is still a lot of power. I said, and don't go to the body. Just jab him to death. Jab him to death. I said, and at the end, take him out. I said, but wait till the 6th, 7th round, and then take him out. I said, but punish him first, and that's what you want. And that's what he did.
It's interesting to hear that now, right? Because you guys aren't the type, and I follow you guys on Twitter, Instagram. You're not going to go back with fans or even media people that may have an idea or something like that. But to hear you say that it was all pre-planned just shows you guys.
There's levels.
There's levels.
There's levels, and it's true. The guy was saying that he was going to enjoy watching him hurt my son, and I get it when you say I'm going to whoop someone's ass, I'm going to do this and that, I'm going to fight. That's different,
Right.
But when you're saying stuff like that as in a personal level, then I'll take it personal because first of all, that's my son. And second of all, like my son's coming out of being a gentleman and just being a good kid and taking his fight when he didn't have to take his fight. He could have gone to someone else. After the pandemic, he could have gone with somebody else, and he gave him a chance. So the guy could make money, and then for him to be saying that. So that was the plan, was to not go to the body, make it last longer so he can punish him, use that jab, and make him eat. Matter of fact, I challenged him. I told him, let him know that that you're gonna jab him. He's gonna know. I said, and I want you to make it still happen. Don't force it. I want you to still be able to make it happen. And even though he knows it's coming, you gotta land it anyways. Show me. And that's what I told him. Show me. And that's what he did.
Was this a different mindset for you going into a fight, Vergil? Because you're a mild, calm-mannered guy. I mean, obviously you're a killer in the ring, but to have a guy kind of make it personal with you, like Vargas, did it really kind of hype it up? And then hearing from your dad, what the game plan was?
Before, when I'm in the fight, I still have my mindset in the same way. We just with a different game plan. That's all that is.
Yeah. So let's talk about, there's levels to this, right? And we know no matter what anyone says, the 147-pound division is arguably the best division out there.
It's the best out there.
It's the best out there, right?
The top 20 guys you can name them all almost.
Right.
You can't name like the top 7 guys in every division.
Right. We won't debate that because I agree with you guys. It's a throwback to my year with Sugar Ray Leonard and Duran and Hagler Hearns. That's when I was growing up. But I kind of get the feeling, guys, that I feel like it's another Errol Spence situation coming on. And let me explain. When he was, knocking people out, he's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-0. I remember interviewing him, calling out Keith Thurman, saying that, he's not the big bad wolf and all that. And it appeared like everyone at the top was ducking him. He was an Olympian, so it wasn't like no one ever heard of him. And it was tough to get fights. Vergil is now 16-0, 16 knockouts. It kind of feels like a blessing and a curse. Do you feel like it's going to be tough for these guys to give you the opportunity, or what is it going to take to get those guys in the ring?
I've always said that being as good as Vergil is a blessing and it's a curse. It's a blessing because as good as he is there ain't going to be too many guys that come around in our lifetime that is as good as in advance as he is. But it's a curse because as good as you are, then a lot of people don't want to face you. I'm not saying they're scared of him. I'm not saying that they won't fight him, but it's also for them. They in their personal view, they could see it as a low risk, high reward. I mean,
high risk, low reward.
There you go.
Right,
Sorry.
Right.
And so I can understand that. I can understand that stuff. So I would see where that come from. But at the same time, if they're at their age, they're in their prime. If they get beat by him, there's no more going up. You can't go up when he's on top. The only thing is now going down. So why would they want to do that? They'd rather fight each other, Danny and Errol and all the top 147s on that side, because they're just going to fight each other and stay in the mix. But once this guy comes and he takes over, you're on your way out. That's how it's looked at.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they're on the way out. but financially, as in when you lose, boxing wise, they consider you on your. It's time on your way out. It's in within
More
you. Out with the
gatekeepers
old.
sometimes.
Yeah, and it really, it's not really like that. But that's the way it is, and the fans they believe it, and that's what happens.
That's
So-
the difference between boxing and MMA.
and that's the difference from like any sport. Like you
Right.
don't have a guy that'll go to the NBA championships and lose, like let's say LeBron, and they don't consider him done or they don't this and that. I mean, he comes back the next year and goes in it again. In boxing, when you can lose one time and you go back 4 spots when I mean spots, I mean as in like. You have to fight somebody now to see where you're at. You have to fight somebody now to see, okay, is he ready? And you got to fight somebody else to be a contender now. Now you got to go hopefully for the championship if you're being picked politically or whatever. So it sets you back a lot. It really does.
What about you, Vergil, as a competitor? And do you see I don't know if you recall, maybe you were, too young, but when he was coming up, starting his career, and he was on TV from the get-go, right? So, he had a pretty good exposure. As a competitor, I would assume you want those fights, but you feel like you may never get those guys in the ring, and, maybe they move up, or you're going to have to wait for some of the other guys to kind of, come to fruition.
I don't want to say that I'm scared that these fights won't happen because they're gonna happen at some point. But I just think the main thing that I want to say is that they're making a mistake by not fighting me right now. They're gonna wish that they fought me when I was still 22 years old. I'm only getting better, stronger, and smarter with every fight that I'm getting, with every month that passes by. So it's I guess they think that they're taking the safe way. They're taking the harder way.
Interesting.
That's my opinion on it.
Do you feel like you can step in the ring with any of them at this point?
Yeah.
I would say that I know he could, and I'm being honest. I'm not lying. I know he can, and I wouldn't put myself. No parent that loves their children would put their kids in harm's way just to do it. I would put my son in there. Now, in a way, it wouldn't be fair because he's 22. He already can do what they can. They're 29, 30. They've had their chance to have all the experience and get these fights that develop them and this and that. So they have the how do you say it? They got their man body, their man strength. Right. So they have the advantage on that. So it's like it's not like, how do you say it? It's not his fault that where he's at so high up there. That's not his fault. That's from him working hard as he is. That just shows how hard he works.
Right.
But it's like you said it, and I've said it before. It's a blessing and it's a curse. It really is.
It's almost. I mean, you can almost look at it like when Canelo took on Mayweather. I think he might have been 22 as well, and Mayweather. But the difference between Mayweather and Canelo at the time was a lot different than you against the other welterweights, obviously.
Yeah, those guys are Mayweather was small compared to Canelo, really.
Right.
These guys are actually my sons, and they can hit. They can hit. Not saying Mayweather couldn't, but not where he was going to hurt Canelo or nothing like that. He could box them, but this is two different kinds of divisions of the era of time.
Right.
Machines that are going against each other that really do fight. So I mean, it's just the way it is. I mean, things are how they are. I think the fights will happen. But I think they're happy when they're going to be forced to happen. That's what I think. So, and again, I'm not in a hurry into them, but it ain't like we're moving out the way out of them either.
Right. And 147, you'll be there a while, you feel? Or I can see you're still growing. A couple more years.
His body, he's just growing. I mean, you can see him. He's just hitting like he has any fat on him. He's just growing.
We used to be the same size.
Yeah, he's just growing. So, I mean, you just never know what people, everybody's body's different. Some people's body, they stop growing. The more you take care of yourself, it seems like your body just wants to keep growing, and it's just different. Everybody's different.
Yeah, no doubt, and it looks like you're still growing. So going back to the division, obviously Spence is coming off a pretty horrific accident, but he's going back in the ring with the guy who's been champion, lost some close fights that could have gone either way to Thurman and Porter. What are your thoughts on EJ? Obviously, he's a Dallas guy. You guys were in the same gym together, when you were young. What are your thoughts of him coming back and taking on a Danny Garcia right off the top?
I think he maybe should have took a little. less riskier fight. But I mean, kudos to him for taking a tough fight like that. Danny Garcia's no slouch, like you said. All his accolades that he has. It's gonna be a good fight. That's all I can say. It's gonna be a real good fight. I can't wait to watch it.
What about you, Vergil? And you as a dad and trainer, someone like Spence coming off an injury like that.
I think if Earl, if that was my son, I would have liked to see where he's at in a fight with somebody that really couldn't punch yet. So to see where he's at, timing wise and all that. But if he was to have a fight like the way Earl was, and he was in Earl's situation, I also probably wouldn't have a problem with it because, these guys are they're very experienced, they're very smart, they know what they're capable of. Now the only thing is that the question isn't what can Earl do, can Earl still fight, does he have timing? That's not the question. The question is what can his body take? Can his body take certain punishment? I've heard that he's had his front teeth were gone and all that. Now I don't know that. I'm just saying.
Right.
But if that's true, how will his upper face hold up after a punch, like a hard
right.
punch, and then several punches? That's the only key. Is for me, it's just the key is how's his body gonna hold up? And if his body can hold up, I don't have a doubt that Earl will do what he does. Again, I know Earl. They have the same foundation, the same gym, so that's why I don't doubt him because I know what he can do. But that's it. I don't doubt EJ. I think he's probably the best 147 out there when he wasn't hurt, and after this you'll see where he stands. And that's just it. It's not with his skill or nothing like that because he got skills. It's just his body. The body's real important. The body, you can't do nothing without it holding up.
I think people forget, when he fought Garcia, he wanted to fight Garcia's game, boxing, right? People said he couldn't box, and he gave him a boxing lesson. Then if you hear him talk, he fought Porter, which I was at that fight. He wanted to fight Porter style, like kind of that ego that you want to beat him at their style, which he probably could have made that fight a lot easier just by boxing Porter. And he came, it was a close fight, although, I agree he won. Now he's coming off, this injury. I mean, do you see that mentality changing as a fighter, or how do you go into the ring at that stage?
I don't think his mentality changes. I think that he's just a smart guy, and he's a smart guy because, I've always I've heard this before even with my son. That if you watch all of Earl's fights from the beginning to now, it's almost identical with his, and I'll tell you how. And I'm not trying to compare myself with him. I'm just saying style-wise, talent-wise, what they're capable of. If these guys can walk you down and take you out easy, then they're gonna do it. They're not gonna sit here and box around when they don't have to.
Right.
They don't have. Why? Why are you gonna go instead of going straight home? Why are you gonna go all the way around and then go home? You just go straight home. It's easier. That's what you're gonna do. I personally always known Earl can box because we come from the same thing.
And you don't make the Olympic team if you can't box, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to be.
Amateurs.
Yeah, I never understood when people kid he can't box. I'm like,
well, he hasn't had to show it because he
Right.
hasn't had to need it.
Right.
He hasn't need the arsenal to do that. But it's again, the way these guys are brought up from that gym and from our gym back then.
that's Vivero.
Yeah, Vivero boxing gym.
Yeah, let's give it a shout out.
It's that style first, but these guys, they all box. They can box. They can fight. They can fight backwards. They can walk you down. They can. I mean, you even see it flashing on my son's fight. Not everything. He changes it. People saying, "Oh, he's developing." No, dude, he's just now showing you what he can do just because he wants to. There's not a reason. He can fight backwards. Earl
Right.
can fight backwards. These guys are very smart, man. They're very slick. They're taught very well, and so when they think that Earl can't do something, the guy is very rounded. He's a very good rounded fighter. I mean, regardless of what people think of him or whatever, you can't deny that he can fight.
It seems to me like Vergil that they do have similar styles and that they do everything well. They can do what's ever necessary. Like you said, if he can walk a guy down and knock him out, isn't that what the pro game's about?
You get paid the same if you box or don't.
Right.
You get paid the same if it's the first round or 12th round. So why are you going to make it even harder for yourself? These guys are different because they're not very good at one thing. They're very good at everything. And a lot of these guys are superior boxers, but they can't fight inside. A lot of guys can fight inside, they can't box with a shit. Some guys can do almost all just a little bit okay, 50% all the way across. These guys right here can do it 92% across the board. How do you beat a guy like that? That can do what you do, your best, is just as good as you or better. And then when it comes to whenever he does that and you have to fight his game, you're nowhere close to his level. How do you beat a guy like that? You can't.
Right. I thought Porter fought the fight of his life too. I don't think I've ever seen Porter box the way he has, and outside, inside. I mean, he really came to fight. So
he had to.
Yeah.
He had to.
Yeah.
And to go against somebody like EJ, you have to be on your game. And EJ's strong and he can fight.
Let me ask Vergil this: Crawford and Spence. Everyone take the accident out of it, because let's just assume he's going to be okay, and a lot of people are still predicting him to beat Garcia. They're still the two biggest names, I would say, in the welterweight division. What are your thoughts on if that fight happens? Because I honestly believe they both want that fight. It's just it becomes a business, as you know. I don't believe any fighter that gets in the ring is scared of another fighter or ducking another fighter. But what are your thoughts on that fight if it ever happens?
It's definitely a close fight. EJ has the size and the strength and all that he has to reach. Crawford, he has the technical stuff. He's smart. Now that I had to get the edge to Errol, but it's a very small. It's maybe like 55-45% type stuff, but it'd be a good fight.
You feel the same way, Vergil?
Yeah, look, at first I used to think Crawford had a hair or two edge, just a hair or two, because Crawford doesn't care how he wins. It could be boring, it could be a highlight, he could hug you, he could just run. He don't give a shit. He don't care. He don't care. And that does make a difference, because they'll do just enough just to win that round. He don't care. EJ still has a little bit of pride in him. He wants to win a certain way. He does. You can see it. You can tell. There's nothing wrong with that. That just shows the competitive in him, that he wants to win completely and dominate. But this is about the car crash. When I really stopped and analyzed and thought about it, Crawford could move. He could probably win like the first few rounds of the beginning, possibly close. But I think once he actually had to sit down and fight, EJ could catch him and he could clip him. If he clips him, EJ would be able to finish him, because EJ's strong. And if he was to hit EJ with whatever shot, EJ can just shell up and still walk him down, and then just start countering him and stuff like that. But I just think the fight wouldn't be so engaging, because it'd be more being careful at first, and then EJ trying to go forward, and then Crawford moving, and then just trying to hit and buy enough time just to keep him at bay. So I think it'd be one of these fights where it'd kind of be like a speeded up chess match almost, where it's not a lot of action. It's just
I feel like you're describing like Hagler-Leonard, which is one of the best fights. But it was kind of a chess match.
But that's where it's at, because they know there's no tricks there. They know what they can do. There's no tricks there. So now it's just about positioning yourself in the right spot, because the guy's southpaw, or because switch hits on you, and that's kind of like, that's where I see it. But I don't see it like where they're just crashing. I don't see it like that.
You don't see Hagler-Hearns, but you see more Hagler-Leonard maybe.
Yeah, I don't see no Hagler and Hearns, because I think that would be suicide on Crawford. I think Crawford's just smart for that. He's not that big of a puncher, and EJ is that big of a puncher, and that's what you want to minimize from EJ with a guy like Crawford. That's the reason.
And we're going to wrap up here in a second. I just wanted to ask Vergil real quick. Earl Spence Jr., how great I don't know if that's your dream fight, but how great would it be to fight in Jerry World with 70, 80, maybe even 100 fans against EJ? What would that fight be like?
Yeah, like I said, that's the fight that I want in the future. I think it happens at 154, so there's no rush on that fight. And I mean, it would mean a lot to me, you know? It's just, it would mean a lot, not only, I guess, it would mean a lot personally, because, you know, I grew up with him, and, you know, same gym, we grew up together, so it would just mean a lot. It's not nothing like, oh, I want to fight him, I want to beat him up, you know? I would just, it kind of feels like it goes all the way around, you know? You just
Full circle.
go back, you know, full circle.
Awesome. And when do you guys head back out to California?
As soon as they give us a call. I think right now they still have a bunch of fighters that they're trying to get fights that have to fight before us. But I mean, you got some, you know, the top guys like Canelo, Jaime Munguia, Ryan, and then and after them, then I want to say it's Vergil, but they still got to have a lot of guys fight. Now, these are the main guys, but they got to have guys under this. So they're just trying to figure out where they're gonna fight. And some people are getting COVID, so it's kind of hard. Like, okay, this guy got COVID. We gotta wait for him to get this fight now. So it's kind of like this. But I mean, I'm gonna say that Vergil maybe fights around mid-November. Hopefully November, beginning of December. But I'm gonna say November. Hopefully.
Actually, I do have another question. Your promoter, the Golden Boy himself, Oscar De La Hoya, one of the best fighters during his era, you know, the biggest draw in boxing, no doubt, no question, has said he's coming back to the ring. What are your thoughts on Oscar coming back to fight?
I mean, I think that'd be good for boxing. Everyone loves Oscar. I enjoyed watching him fight. If he needs a sparring partner, you know who he needs to call me, and I would love to do that. But
have you ever sparred with him?
No, he hasn't been in the ring since he retired, you know. But no, I'm excited for him. I hope it does happen.
And what about Jones Tyson? Both of you, if that fight were to happen.
I don't care about that fight, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie. But if it happens, it happens. You know.
I don't want to watch because I don't want to see them get hurt.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, they can move and they can hit, but like I said, your body can only take so much on its own. You might be able to suck it up, but your body won't be able to suck it up. Sometimes your body can say, yeah, you know, it's they could rip a bicep muscle just by throwing a punch. You can, like Miguel Cotto did in his last fight. You know, you can do a lot of stuff, and I wouldn't want to see two older guys that have done a lot for the sport hurt themselves and then possibly have to get surgery or you know just screw themselves on health-wise. And so for me, I wouldn't see it. I would watch it to support, but I wouldn't demand it.
It's not going to help their legacy at all.
At all. It's not. And it's just going to kind of make you worry about them too. So
right.
I wouldn't.
So in closing, guys, if you want to give another shout out, you know, why we're here today, why you guys have been here, you know, the last couple of weeks with this beautiful mural in the background, and any sponsors, Vergil, if you want to give a quick shout out.
I mean, yeah, no. So the main reason we're here, like they just finished it up. They were finishing up what we're doing the interview right now. This is the second one that they've done in the city, and yeah, it means a lot to me. And yeah, other than that, you know, just shout out to everyone that's been supporting me, everyone here especially, you know, it means a lot, and I'm really grateful for everyone that, you know, from my fans to my dad to the team behind me, and I'm just happy.
And what's the name of this bakery?
This is Rodriguez Bakery.
Rodriguez Bakery in Grand Prairie, hometown of Vergil Jr., Vergil Sr. Any closing remarks?
No, just you know, thank everybody for coming out here, and thank everybody that supports my son and that follows him and that follows all the local fighters here. You know, it's just it's a good thing seeing like people out here together because you know, sometimes people, you know, because of the pandemic, you know, how everything's been kind of how do you say it? Social distancing and depressing. And it's good to see kids and people have a good time together and just enjoying themselves. So that's it. And then really the last thing is that, you know, for them, this painting the mural is not only just for my son, but it's for the city. It's for anybody that wants to be motivated and look up to something and feel like or want to feel or know if they can do something. Because you know, if you really try and if you really want to, you can pretty much, this is the United States, you can do anything you want. I mean, you can be anything you want. You really can. You just got to really try to strive and work for it. And that's all I would say. Because I grew up through all these places. To be some apartments right here, across the street. You know, I know all these neighborhoods, and you know, I just say I wasn't doing the best things, but I think it's good to see that everything comes back around. The other murals in the spot where I used to be an alternative school across the street used to be in trouble. That murals I used to fight in front of that mural, right there in that
Right.
wall.
Wow.
And now I'm all the way 360 around and seeing it a different way, and just hopefully kids can see this, and maybe it'll help motivate them to do something, and if it's not boxing, it could lead into something else.
Well, I'll just say this: you're doing some great things with your son, Vergil Jr., and it's fun watching you guys fight. It's fun covering the fights here locally.
Thank you.
And look forward to the next time you guys are back in the ring, and continued success.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Jeff Zimmerman, Fight News. Thanks all.